After their collapse in last year's Munster final, Cork have reshaped. Typically number 12, Colm O'Driscoll, plays in a much deeper role, while Colm O'Neill is still the team's top scorer. And today, Ballincollig Stephen O'Donoghue renews his rivalry with Kieran Donaghy. No hint of a Paul Galvin yet in the Kerry selection, but Barry John Keane does get to start. From limited game time so far, he's kicked 8 points and is the second highest scorer after free taker Brian Sheehan. Keane is in today for the injured Paul Gainey.
Kerry, you go on the mock line.
Yeah, Len oran jolly Hale, ni Len raw at Pog with Morjana. Was a Sula on Hybrid jobs in the Conilach, Harkeener Fad, Dun Belgailach, August Tess on Ari, Le Bra, Dun Gaydor, Catch Shock Martin Ignolan, for Rory Lame, Chaggy Fatak David Morton or Gay Rucht. I was thinking, don't see a Kerry, Morton, a kick on a shock Dirach and more Dirach, kick on a shock and chin, Jetution the Pravanena, Donaghy Girial. She fought Donaghy and Ishtash, Tosh Ado and Chen, oh Stephen O'Donoghue, Marvin with the cap, Stephen O'Donoghue, Mark Coyle, Kieran Donaghy.
An Arctic Tahi August Kate scored on kick Barry John Keane.
Well, Chen Kerry fights Straha Eganda Ordin and Chok, so by Sock up hit the Kerrons and Chok, and she had Anhard the war, Straha, August 3 vote the Falk with Trish and Yaw, Drop fast and Chin, August the Fatcher Ashton Chok, Finton Gould, the Gareth Stocker and Tala Toss Post as a core, Tosh a Smeaner, Hole Major, oh, Tower Jet, Fatcher Ash, Colm O'Neill, Colm O'Neill, August like Corka.
Cool Glotig O'Neill, sorry Martig Finton Gould, Vishig, Ray Con Broker, Jack Sherwood, Soka Mowley, Dully Drone your Hood, Finton Gould Rig, Jenny Buckley, Gumna Scale, August Duskel Jesus, the Finton Gould Miorn down there, just Lucian Pollock, Colm O'Neill Rig, Connie Fickle Sus, August Creek Nuga Stock for Rish, August Tusak Mal Cork.
That's talk with the Hill Go my Kieran and Chapter Rash by Shen Mar Droch fast being Chen, Bahush Gold Chen, and kind of be late to Finton Gould and Chen, but Immer for Finton Gould, I could no talk as though he got button van a foreign in your shot. I need no longer got aim and a block. You can't chop block around on the capture talking to Barry John Keane. Barry John Keane and John Gamanish, Tashantiga, Ear to Vow, and Johnny Bolt to Egg Barry John Keane, Agni Corahara Trust on Nimmertwa, Egg Barry John Keane, Bagnin Custley, Iruk Shemus Derby, Better, Clinton.
Jack into better Gurav Rodon of Visha Clish, the log Hossant and Sonny, Thomas Clancy, gone out, Tom Clancy, August Yin King Gamagus, Kids for on Nimmer to Kerry.
Marshin, cooling water in the forest, looking with Devon and Chella Force Konya, August kicks here at Cork and Chop. Pass like the forward is catch a kick and they're scooping a shot chance and shoot Jamie O'Sullivan. Jamie O'Sullivan, Hoshar Unseen is looked out, Pinch a brass sauce, going on the Shinmar, Cork, Gimmert Spader, Leon, Putarega Shunguji Collins, Gear, Gareth Stockanish, Illing Gary Collins, Brannan Hart, Mancha pass all, and Colm O'Neill, trust shot on here to Cork, obviously, Shin Corahara trust on Kevin O'Driscoll. On score 4-0.
Yeah, score growth of Husnik Sheig on Kevin O'Driscoll, Book and your host, lot people are in the park, August, Becker Lear, August Mark.
Lane, Chungus and Chelliff, took her bar, Jenny Mark Collins. Collins in the Shugas, Conyan Chelliff, Tasha Lorig, Takiuta, Takiuta Chief, and Takiuta of Colm O'Driscoll. Colm O'Driscoll, Bowling Chan catching his shock, Scoopy, Draw Brian Hurley, or Colm O'Neill, Hurley Rush, Shut the Jamie O'Sullivan, and 3-1 Sullivan, Trust the Cole, Cork, scores the Township, John O'Rourke. August Toshi, the Gallery, Huttonbury, Shiri Morva, Skian, Tefrin, Pumpkin.
Jack Hint, August Shing, Kinta Lefeshkin to Cork, Galicia, season in the Laku League, Toxus, Jamie Sullivan, North Son, August Umnik Shea, Rev O'Rourke Sayer, August Inch, Roy Par Shimply, Cork Trustna, Carnog, August Creek, Shimply, John O'Rourke, all cool, Corky, Tevis Jug, the Shea Nomad, Nivega, Infus Morris Oscillation.
Well, he took 7 now, kick a mach, the Spulta, Brendan Keeley, Mach, Tivel in the parking, Canton British Shoes, August Gary Shelley, Fatty, Finton Gould, Reach Gould, and Ecolach and Shaw, Rashkity Cadigan, Cadigan, Barlish and Dahi. There's her long holy Marlachuli Lords and Yuck, there's a learn the park. Mark Collins Reach, Collins again, the passage of the court, I draw Colm O'Neill, cuts it wide, Jensen Chinning, John Fitzgerald, and so she fought your Ashton Kerry, Neils, she called you Kerry, while watch your Ashton Meaglach.
You've got your.
Brian Cooper talked to Catch Grand Zimmer, Nachnach Lero the Warner Stock, draw Colm O'Neill, to get that or father and I run and all, Kinta Mallard, Scale on your hot, Chodenish, Anthony Maher, Kicker to shot Canmore Mead, Anthony Maher, Coolbar, Cano Halloran, no, but on it, Cano Halloran, August on 3 goal, back Agan and Shaw, drop what on with him.
Jack Kinta, Loud Cool and Son, August Cotton Cartic, Cano Halloran, New Vector Rojas, the Hodige, Horda, Corda Shock. Chapter a lot of a mocker, I guess, down here, just gone a lot of a for the shots in the town, cool on the bug the Kerry. For the shock, I guess, Bray Ashkin, Braskell to Gadisa.
Collins in the shots of Brandon Stach. Colin da kick out fast reach and can more meter for the reach and pass to Colin O'Neill. Chanting O'Neill or Colin Someone sent the Keely and Thompson. Does she force on? Does she force the mail of Colin? Well, in the shots. Panchella Fosaka. Obviously, Cura Hara Traston. Tashi Cura Hara Traston. Jerry Kevin O'Driscoll. Gahura Hinton. Leroy the Stock. Just your goal.
Kinter an dá heh an uair son Kinter bhí míáir Colin O'Neill an Coolbar go húnta gin Brendan Keely sa bháil dúntaach agus bhí Corky Greg agus fioch Kevin O'Driscoll sús agus dhéon sí an cinnig ceart agus a faointe hógan tarna ceann dó siúd agus scóir agus móránnig tarlú timppla na Carnóg.
Right, just ar ága bhfuil. Tráidir Rashnus is nimmer to job. Agus an Rohan John is tackle Kenny. Kenny cach trasa chun John Pastor go dtí Michael Gainey. Gainey got Sheerish go dtí David Moore Lena Gordon is trasa láir Chelsea Fortune Brian Sheehan a casa hart Sheehan is trasa Lena Gordon dtí Butcher Strach go dtí Gainey Reach Gainey Tortfin score 1-1 an Módír a Hackam Strach Dor Donaghy after McDonaghy dtí Fortune is Cadigan inis Brandon Hart bechant Ken Road again Cadigan Fosa got Reed or shall Lord Teddy touch attack on Talo now my Carney Cadigan via
Lórach an tá downer bhís agé fuair sé carta dómhan downa sé catú go luas a cleuch má bhís agé nuair a haring sios é thug sé an lá na lá bhuaig mar bhís agé go raibh an damáiste
déinte. Tá sé dómh tá Gerald Paul Murphy an dar is seachtain ní chéile agus well ní mór an action chunig sé nó denóméid an agus tá sé well ní chuirtan a héine tá sé spéisiúla ag callach
sé Colin O'Driscoll bhí dul roigar agus cinnta bhí lábh timppla ar a gúling bhí ige go raibh sé chun dul roig bhí sé gíige stoppa roig bhí sé gíige stoppa dechar ar gúint leis le réite go an réitóir.
Colin O'Neill is a gig sír Colin McKickall agus Colin nó tá níreaction tá sí go ar tras dá íon beag sír yes Colin eile ag Cork an sin
Cork ag cóg na seansan an nuair atá dul roig agus réile go carta dómh is ceartaíach lig leis an réitóir agus chance Colin O'Neill cúlín eile áilta Corca.
Chance is Colin O'Neill dó sé jog scóilte ag go dtí seo Canchan Hosle hen stíl óling ré leis gúil
gúil mar leis an taobh chumá le Brian Sheehan timppla ach bín glóta chu an trasnána Colin O'Neill go dtí.
No, dúid scóir go Irish Bar mar sin Corca tá sí de teachta rís Cadigan tuis an Canchan British Rís go dtí Mark Collins. The Brian Hurley is agus Hurley dena her bar and Chendal Reed agus the reach Ella Hurley to say Hurley tá chance to John O'Rourke goal Ella ag Corca Bhí Certá tála head ó chosan Kerry.
Cinnta tá an oscailtán san taobh hir agus Corky dul tríd anna éascar fad agus bhíon Brian Hurley an damáis nuair san ar Finn Fitzgerald agus dhéon sé go húntaach a bhí an nachas ar dul roiid bhíon súlaige agus a rís dhéon sin ceart chuir sé amach go dtí John O'Rourke agus chríochnaí go O'Rourke slach.
Foul ar Michael Gainey is kick serious Butcher go skipli age. Stephen O'Brien is due in Tashi 40 Stephen O'Brien can Ilan Geir O'Brien a bulla ar híomh na lábha clé. Dúr tip mo must go trachtar tá vertical around or Dermot Murphy agus Mikey Sheehy so tá Paffer Kena a shoulder horses na aganne so my kinch go reach the veer cord the corner ar man store tá sirlína ó botón both of the chain ag Stephen O'Donoghue agus cooling ace go ha cap o kicks here at Kerry.
Cinnta just caiitú an Shelva a ligand lat bhí céile chóric necléis agus just an peisiim plí thuirt seachas é thugna seach san gramú agus Big Brian Corport lásáasta ag tasbanta Cork go dísa. Tá cumas tasbanta Cork an taking sé mar bhí Kerry an tak se chatta opra sa bhaile i ggéirid na pointíáil.
Ní se seá hásta agus ní róhanna go bhíon éar chuid mothúáin nniuúla sin atá sé gentach an kicksíir sin ag Barry John Keane chur a hard trasná.
Níl Kerry cruthú mórán seansna éasca mar dúir
Mark is he potting more agus an Andrew Shelvig more na shachan is so Barry John Keane reach and Fargo Trish the Colini logo all the Kerry agus tá Canada potting Barry John Keane Kerry Camaga Larry Canon immer tá si the thresh.
Yeah, bhíos chun Rogers nach rud mór an chuiblen tarta lána park go díosach an féchar an céadúir bhuaig David Moore an go láidir agus a rís tacla chéile ní siimplí Kerry agus Keane anna chríní deire.
She hit the bunch on Bork. There's more an action of just finishing Barry John Keane or a chuig cool in a chop. Agus má anchin shot ibe at a chuig tá sí sa hard ach ní dólam go prenne stol. Oh, réist full cool in a deal. Well, Ken O'Halloran, it dribbled in your little order. Stephen O'Brien or Terry Damshire.
Carton Neil smacht the Gerda Carnog Hennig or Rish Kelmore or the soccer or Carnog. Bisha Rezunta Bulshan Polla kind of a Conta Fui, August Honig O'Halloran.
Here, touchdown up, Killian Young, Hocus, Killian Young, was a Rish on more dear, Canmore made the hold, and no Donny, what's he, Donny, shot the goal! Score, it's hey, Tommy Welch. On more zero, so Divers and Hampson.
Yeah, August Rish smacht Carter Timple or Norna Park, Anthony Mahar Rish and North Son, August near Hod Deer up his shot, August Haspan, Donaghy, and Nart, August Atahi, August Pashimpli, Mockedy, Tommy Walsh, August Creek, Result the Shimpli, August Cool, LA Kerry.
Well, we were on the horn, tried to test right now, Brian Bell, Tustin Johnish, Coy no med this week, August Cool. August, the fair odds, Dead Fair. Oh, now Nisha shot, Nisha shot has to line in that, August, Top Brian, a Johnish, Lord the Park, August, Basha Tackering Anthony Nolan, Farnach, and Nerichin Tahiaga. Curtis Federian and Norvins and Urgent and Murray Molocha Hale.
Check into Big Shake Braher, Bear and the Moyer Tevlin, August and the Moyer Cool, Kun Beder, Gumak Nasula, Aka, of course, the son of Nidas Eshkent, a Soka equivalent.
Kilimo Tanyar Tahig Morris, Nish, Kerdianis Anthony Nolan, Tasha Gleach, Trasna Alchina Kieran Donaghy, so we'll check him out. No, don't. Tasha Gleach, Trasna going to hints, Kate Hawaii, Tasha Elorug. Michael Shields of that.
Bigger Rodigany and Consmack a Vehiger and Clehe, you know, the Morandini, Team Blerick and Son, Tashik and Carty of Runna.
Well, now, you know, I got to get the jet tray and a bit Nerich and Imbrodian, but Fear Yacker, or Waka didn't get Headbert to Hossa. Machonic didn't get Headbert to Hossa, now read Kappa or Balach, who will Darrow Tilson. Like a what could have on. Donaghy agus Shields, Bert go lehan wahaka bari chéile.
Cinnte siúr na blianta Bert go taréis taxús na chéile go Dominic agus da Annick Shields go seach cinnteach bhí rud déanta Donaghy Rivrig or hála sé Annick sé seach.
Rátach se haindir an kick ag Colm O'Neill agus í chur har trastan ag Colm O'Neill agus ben an chéad scór a tamala gira Elo Michael Gainey, Jenny Trashin, Tashi Fosa Collins. Colindaki cut a Jack Reach, Jack Door Pine Hurley, Fatchik Hurley in his Jiro Jack and Hurley, got right, good skip shot, Sorry Martin Cork, then Jeshin issues, which is in her trust on, Tashishin her trust on, and Kevin O'Driscoll to be on. 3 cool in again on score.
Sean O'Hoimer to Sunday Cork again, Hurley go home to contact the Macon Shell of all, Dig Shake a topic, Leshagus, Kevin O'Driscoll talked the Haragooling on and talking up the work at Crew Quinta all to Cade last.
Fion Fitzgerald, Tashi Fotik Hurley, will check on Dr. Jack Wita, Elenan Geriganish, Kashishin Ola Cassenger Hart, Tashi Fotik Hurley, Moncha Cody in the shot, Shin score in Dr. Hurley.
John on a Kennedy Hurley on Son, Visha Sawston, and Shell of a
John Keane, Barry John Keane, the Chuck Traston Show, Rudy Tackle Kenny Nish, Paul Rowigan, will check on Dolish Jack Deer, Father Rish draw, John Hito, Don Hishton, Tasha Lurigan Pass, Tashi Fozik Kenny, Tashi Kachava Cobra, Tashi Butteriga, Charlotte Chantonish, and time to score. August Uchi, Tashi Garhara Traston, Con score, Amshire, Peter Crowley, and Amshire Derry.
Shamer Darfton Sonny Crowley, which own Kentucky up the Hort of Fitzgerald, August Inche, Bedron Kenny Cartmar, the Stephen O'Donoghue, who trash Traston, the Carno, Bresh Costin, the Hort, August Hoxia Fuinta.
Will Tennis was in Cello, the Chin Buttiga. When you get to Jessica, Hudson Gentle Kerry, Gentle Mahakam, Corley to Crow, who's bought to head. He shouldn't put it in a shit dog. Ben score. All in your fault, Brian Hurley.
Yeah, must have scored Clehug. He saw Havermert. It was a Reach Hurley, Creaking Shigala, there's a kid Lagus, Hosning Shigamasa, Tarnlan, a Creaker, a Coslag.
Again, he fought a rashing more than Reach. More than issues that he called a Stach. He was well, then gave door better. Can't not will meet more meet the hard Stach the Gownell. Chelifos Aka and Ish. So the nearest and Trin, because they're more Glehan, because he bought a hard trust on killing Young of the Anaba.
Oh, Massman Farnua, Alan Fitzgerald, Massman son, Anna Crean, because Munini get on chance of Hogan, because sorry, Rock, because Sar score, Iga, Alan Fitzgerald, and Arnua Honig shot to go home.
And you were hurt to stop, but I'm calling him.
Chance resumed the Eskan, so Iga, Colomonil, the Europos Corner Cool. The question the court we know to be trade on that Tashi Glimbert Leshin Imbert come when McCondy on the Peladori Glimbert Lesh come on.
Talks Colm O'Neill is clear shin or shaves Lehos end of on Mark Griffin got no heart.
I think Colm O'Neill Arish also core Clish Imbert is off on the Tahi going
Jeshinish Colm O'Neill looks well Keats is sure as any Herman Malachter Níl Doughton scorer agus be Devon Dentige. Hurley, a Traba, Hurley, Rashidi O'Neill, Rish O'Neill, it's but Darling O'Neill, Visa, Culligan, Kittogan, Cullum O'Neill, Falls, Patanan, and Colleen is scoring.
I'll go home, Cohus and son.
We're done here, Trish Love, Lagan to Leroy, Darla, Will.
No, she moved a good firm Banishiok, the sauce, the tactic you Jeffrulu Sadak, Stacker, a Credunton on Tasmans, the Hooder, Gilarn, and Takish Kati, Governor Frankena, Moore, and Parkno.
Alan Cadigan reached, Cadigan a Corrine, the Hafer Tokanish, but she watches Tom Clancy, Tom Clock the Quilson, Osing Tom Shear. Trying to force off his focus, Boston Johannes, Colum O'Driscoll, Lane's court, Amchia, Colum Foes, Joshua Colum scores, and score, what Colum O'Driscoll, as Dawhood Ebra in your.
As you Therese, these more Hostendal, Temple or Henning, because Bristol of Yogs, Ni more on Feck against the turn, Lishing your road more dear.
David Moore, Nishing Gig, Gagas, he Corha, or Hidden Lava Joshua, so then was Kerry attack the British Chohan, so there, Killian Young, well, fell down the Chinya, it's Alan Fitzgerald of the An. Nish Killian Young at on, Agadi put the orders, which you could have trust on, Toshi could have trust on. No, come a mask in the vertical. Attacker and Hibbert are left.
Tarna County Gallen Fitzgerald, Orish and Fitzgerald Killian Young on Count Garrett.
You're Renali here, is a tall, Achliocht, the Feckal and transition, but a hauling and issues. Shalan Jeshinish, Jacar Shacker the goal, because of Colin or Hilo, and Catchin, but a Harrod Trasnon, I give out a zero tucker shot, Donoghue Connor, Nassau, Thompson couldn't have Falkini, George Jansen scoring, and she give out a zero tucker shot, Shinna Connor Dorman, Kedda Dorfman for the scoring.
Orish, the Fesh, Fellow, Huigas, and a Yakra, Hui Garish, Takish Kuing, and I Tyrone, so talk to the Corky, Pointy, all it's okay, he's talking the Corky Bugger likes the shot.
There's Donoghue Connor. Donoghue agus an Tangol Gadas. Gloat Donoghue Connor agus not. He gain get a spot across Johannes for the David Bourne. The David Bourne was better five over long toss up. Barry John Keane, she's a gear Ilo Tom Clancy. Talk Keane Divish did it to clean took a Contalon. Or she falls again talk here cool that's all here. Well no. But she saw still should go in. Cool in Barry John Keane, you know. Mark Collins give able to draw Peter Crowley. Needs discussion around and a butcher I did Donoghue Connor Castle Hartonish. Donoghue Annie will let you get dog Dustin Yato Bulte Donoghue Connor Carrot Mafia and a roll it off.
Scored in Scohan son because Ordemerton son he going Cadigan or Deuce took Chimach Mark Collins on a Taki up the Donoghue Connor because the Munini get on Takmacher across.
Which Ryan Stephen O'Brien to get a shell of all the channel here on pass off Slachter because he fought your rash. Cork reached. Barshin Cadigan at all. They're hybrid dip again. Thompson squealing his henchies by the battle, both on the chin. Like Mark Griffin. John Hayes and Isha Kershew with Donoghue Connor, Shantic Donoghue Connor, Colin Ella, Bultic Donoghue Connor, Bulta Harra Trasnon. Agus on Barna and Maido.
It's Cork 3-17, Kerry 2-9.
History tells us we've been here before. We had a very good win last year in Tralee, and the season panned out the way the season panned out. So certainly there's nobody getting carried away, and it's completely a case of heading on to Tyrone to face a very difficult match next weekend.
Poor performance, and Cork were very impressive today, and you know, they gave us the right hammering now. So not a good day at the office for ourselves.
And just in case you think that the league is tame compared to the championship, well, there's a counter-argument for you. Having said all that, Kieran Whelan, Brian Cuthbert summed it up there, and he was alluding to what happened last year. Cork beat Kerry in the league and then got a right trimming in the Munster final from them.
Yeah, and I think they closed that wound today. They buried the demon in the last. That was a terrible performance in the Munster final, but I think he won't get too carried away with that result today. They would be happy with the performance. It was very good. The forward line, the cohesion in the forward line was very, very impressive. Kerry, very flat. I don't know whether psychologically they put a big effort into last week's game against the Dubs, because they hadn't beaten the Dubs in a number of years, and managers will target certain games, but they looked very flat today. They never got going. They had a period in the first half where they won 3 kickouts in a row, and they looked like they were going to get into a dominant position, but they didn't. So an awful performance by Kerry. It won't bother them too much. They'll regroup. It's a little bit of a kick up the backside, but for Cork, it builds confidence, and they did a lot of good performances right throughout the field today.
And I suppose in boxing parlance, they took a few standing counts early on in the match. 3 goals in 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Kerry defence went missing, but they would have been very, very happy with the start. You know, great. This is what every manager wants: a diagonal run here from Jamie O'Sullivan, taking it on the burst, totally opens up the defence. Kerry are at sea, and you know, it's an easy finish by John O'Rourke. And here Brian Hurley, very good game today. He runs straight down the heart of the Kerry defence. Should never, from 50 yards out, nobody gets a hand on him, and it ends up being another simple score. So it really gave them the platform. They three goals inside 16 minutes. You know, Kerry did, as I said, got back into it. They went 8 points ahead. They got it back to 2. But the second half was like Kerry didn't come out, and the game petered out. It was very flat. It was like a challenge game towards the end of it. But as I said, Cork will be happy to put up a big score, 3-17. But Kerry will have to get back on the horse next week.
Kieran, we saw the impact that Kieran Donaghy, for example, made for Kerry last year towards the latter stages of the championship with a big man in Kieran Donaghy. Tommy Walsh obviously back in that setup. And you've been looking at Kerry playing this long ball in. You have a point about it.
Yeah, they were very one-dimensional today. And obviously, you know, this is right from the off. A long ball in, Donaghy wins it. They targeted him all the time. Now, if you look here, look how deep he is, and he's right in. He's in the 6-yard box, and that's intimidating for Ken O'Halloran. He's playing a very, very deep role, and Kerry's objective today was every time they got the ball was to knock it in long. They'd mixed results. Cork done reasonably well. Michael Shields was trying to cover back a lot of the time, but it did cost them. Now, it is an element of Kerry's game that's very, very difficult to defend against. Here we go. Eventually, Ken O'Halloran drops the ball, and you know that Donaghy's going to be lurking around that square. They put Tommy Walsh in there, the Twin Towers, as we know them again, you know, and again a long ball resulted in a goal. But I just think if you look at the context of the game, like you look at Croke Park last night, you look at the teams that are playing very, very defensive, and you know, teams struggling to break down that blanket defence. That's a very effective tactic. It causes consternation, and he plays so deep, and Kerry are looking to land that ball right on the 6-yard line. Yeah. So it's a tactic I think they're going to use going forward. Now, Kieran Donaghy himself, you know, he's in great form. His confidence is high. He's come off the back of a good club performance, but as captain, he's getting involved in a lot of physical encounters. Yes. Last week and this week, and he's sticking his nose in everywhere, and he's going to have to be very, very careful because referees are going to eventually latch onto him.
All right. OK, let's look at another aspect of Kerry. Not so much on the field, well, sort of on the field and sort of not on the field. Paul Galvin, of course, made a comeback this week, showed up at training on Tuesday night for Kerry. Yeah. Pat Spillane thinks this is a mistake. What's your take on it? I suppose time will tell whether it's a mistake. I can understand from a player's perspective that he missed the game. It's very, very difficult to come out of that bubble, and he obviously felt his body was in good enough condition that he could offer something to Kerry for this year. 35 years old. He's 35 years of age. He's not going to have the same amount of pace. He has the experience. It really depends what Paul's expectation is and what he's agreed with Eamon Fitzmaurice. Whether he can come back and it's very difficult. The older you get and you've played and you've started every game, it's very hard to take on a different role. I think he could be effective 10 or 15 minutes of a game's in a melting pot. You want somebody to come in with a bit of experience around the middle of the park to control the game. But there is another dimension. It could be disruptive as well. Yeah. It could be disruptive because he's going to have to be very disciplined, and Kerry don't need any sideshows. Sure, he has a high profile and a lot of incidents with him. So it's going to have to be managed appropriately by Eamon Fitzmaurice. There is, and this is the other thing I was going to say to you, there is another dimension to this, which of course they're brothers-in-law. So therefore, that has to... What I'm wondering is, did Eamon see something that he needed, that he wanted Paul to come back in? Possibly. And I'm sure as brother-in-laws, they've sat down and they've had a very frank chat, and they know exactly where each other stands and what Paul's purpose is, what he's coming back to do, and what role he's going to play. And I think if they've agreed that, it might work out. And as I said, it's basically managing the players' expectations. And the older you get, the crankier you get as well, you know, as some of us all know. But so have to be managed appropriately. But I do think he can offer them something, and he has great experience, and he's a good football brain, so it could add to them as the season goes on. All right, as you said, time will tell. Give us something to talk about. OK, earlier in the programme we saw the Dublin hurlers in action, but last night at Croke Park, Dublin fans were treated to